because our project is doing well. We've invested, and the thing about real estate is not like the stock market. You can't just go in and check your account every day and see a valuation change. Real estate is something where you don't really know what the real value is until you get it reappraised. Once a year, twice a year, whatever. That's when we know how much the values of our investments have really gone up. What we do know is, hey, we own property in an area that's going through $4 billion worth of redevelopment. What we do know is all of our residents that are there were there when we bought it, and they're still here. What we do know is the housing authority has recognized what we were doing and said, hey, you're keeping the rent so low that we want to subsidize you. We want to make sure that your investment group are getting the entire market rate rent for that area. And we'll fill the gap between what your tenants have been paying and what we believe the market rate rent is. So on average, our tenants that are paying $600, $650, the housing authority is going to match that and get us to $1,200 a month rent for each unit. The 2 bedrooms, like $1,450, when those residents are paying $750. So we have a whole lot of upside on what we're doing. Now, I'll say this. I stepped into this with rose-colored glasses, and I was very focused on the mission and, what I wanted to do. You get into the real world, you get into politics, you get into everything, guys, at this level, when you get this much exposure for projects, a lot of things have come up that have basically tried to block our progress. But I can tell you this, we are still setting the blueprint collectively. Everybody on this call, everybody that's invested, we are changing the status quo of what happens when a neighborhood goes through gentrification. When everybody invested in this, it was an idea. It was something I pitched. There was no activity in the neighborhood, but everybody that invested saw the vision and believed in the vision. And if you're in Houston and you haven't driven by, I encourage you to drive to Fifth Ward right now and see that they are building an entire city inside the city. And we own prime real estate right in the epicenter of everything that's going on. So some people that have invested, I know that, guys, understand it's hard, and I'm being 100% transparent with you all. When I watch how the other funds have failed, I realize they're too focused on marketing and all this other stuff. I've been really focused on making sure our project is successful. So I know a lot of people reach out to me one-on-one, and yeah, in the beginning I was very accessible, but now I'm dealing with the housing authority, with the land bank, with everybody, trying to figure out how do we take the next step? How do we move further? My team has expanded. So sometimes I can't answer individual emails or texts or calls, but I want everybody to understand we invested in real estate. It's not what you see with some of the other folks. You can type in the LLC's name on the tax records in Houston and see what we own. And look how much the value has gone up since we bought it. We bought it for $1.2 million. The current value is like 2.6. And we're finally about to do renovations on the second building. The second building that was supposed to be a coffee shop in the beginning, but I told everybody through several updates that I don't want us to spend any of our money on it until we know we can get a return on the investment. So now we're at the point where the market has shifted. It makes sense to spend the money. We're going to spend about $190,000 to renovate that building completely, to make it a creative space. The partnership is with actually one of the by the block investors who actually helped me design the peer space that we have. He's also a triple platinum music producer. Super creative. He just did the biopic on DJ Screw, and Travis Scott is his executive producer, and Sony Pictures just picked it up. So he and I are doing the design, and we're partnering with a brother that was one of the lead characters on Insecure, and he has a nonprofit. So collectively, we are going to use that space to cultivate the artistic, creative minds of the youth all over Houston, specifically in Fifth Ward. We finally found the right tenant. The brother from Insecure has a nonprofit that has the capital to pay the rent that is going to make money for everybody in the By the Block project too. So, we're onto some really positive things. Usually I do presentations. I'm not doing a presentation tonight and not showing you numbers because I have to do that later this week. I was so focused on closing the bigger deal, which is also makes our land value go up. So if you've been following me, you know that a smaller group of investors and the By the Block 2 people that got into that organization, that was more of a you lend money to a project-based focus, and you don't have equity ownership in it, but you get guaranteed returns every quarter. And I'm paying all of them out right now. They're getting, if you're on here and you're By the Block 2 and you didn't take your payouts, you're going to get all of your payouts plus your principal investment in the next week and a half. Part of that money, and then my small group of investors that raised 1.2 bought a historic landmark in Fifth Ward. It was basically the Potter's House, like TD Jakes type of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they just couldn't maintain the campus. So we bought it from them in December of 2020, and we bought it for $6.7 million collectively. Let them stay in the church for 3 years without paying rent. So they had the profits because they owed like $2.5 million. So they took the rest of the profits. They're building a new campus cash. It took them a while to get the project together. And everybody told me I was crazy for allowing them to stay in the church without paying rent. But that's what we can do when we buy the block. We can do whatever we want, right? Nobody could see that I knew how much the value was going to go up. So long story short, the housing authority has allowed us to partner with them to do a redevelopment to build a 340 unit apartment complex in phase 1. And phase 2 might be more housing, or it may be the charter school initiative. The housing authority just bought that property from me and a small group of investors for $11.4 million. So remember, we bought it for 6.7. 3 years later, selling it to the housing authority for 11.4. And it's the only site of that size in Fifth Ward that's been preserved for affordable housing to provide housing for the community. So if you're in B2B By the Block 2, you're part of that, you put money in, we just sold that. That's where all of your money's going to come back from that. So the regular By the Block investors, guess what that does also? We just set a new precedence for land value for our property. So that increases the land value of what we own. So everything I'm doing is very strategic, it's collective. And yet the specific numbers are important. I know we have a lot of analytical investors in here, but we have to look at the bigger picture. Some things you can critique and you can number crunch, but this is much bigger. And so what I want to do going forward is I do have most of you understand the vision, most of you understand where we're going. But there's a few that reach out all the time and asking about what the share value is, and we haven't had an update lately and this and that. And I'm like, man, we are really the only fund that's successful, that's doing things the right way. And the fact that I'm inaccessible sometimes means that I'm working to make sure everybody is doing well, making sure our tenants are happy, making sure that I'm building value in the community. So anybody that has any inconvenience, when I started this fund, I made a few posts. I was like, If this is bill money, don't invest it. This is your last 5,000. Don't invest. This is for people that are willing to say, hey, I invested in something, I may lose all my money. Thankfully, we're not there. We're on the other side of that. But I do want everybody comfortable. I do want to make sure that everybody that wants to sell has an opportunity to sell. I know a lot of the people that are invested want to buy more shares. And let me tell you guys, the neighborhood is just getting started. It's just starting to turn over. Property values, land value has probably just started to double. I think it's going to quadruple because there's already a case study in the city of Houston for it. On the west side of Houston, if you're from Houston, you're familiar with City Center. Same developers are building East River. Spring Branch was a very impoverished Hispanic neighborhood just north of I-10 before City Center came there. Lots, if you wanted to buy a vacant lot at that point in time, 25,000, 30,000 before City Center was there. Now you can't buy a lot for less than 300,000. That's a 10x. Houses over there are $1 million houses. So, I preached to everybody that Fifth Ward was the next neighborhood that was going to be up and coming. Why is this project even better? East River is just a point of destination with concrete and the Beltway. Imagine the same developers taking the same project, putting it next to downtown, on Buffalo Bayou, with a golf course. So if the Fifth Ward values have doubled, imagine how high they're really going to go. Now, if you have short-term vision or you have a need for your investment back, I understand that completely. Everybody else that understands the vision and understand this is long-term, we have a great ride ahead of us. Back then I was kind of hesitant because I didn't know if it was going to come to fruition, but everything's come to fruition and it's continuing to grow. The owner of the Astros just announced that he's doing almost $1 billion worth of expansion to do a whole entertainment district like the Atlanta Braves have in Atlanta. So that's something I wasn't even anticipating. I knew about the 3.5 billion that was coming for East River. I didn't know about that. So that's what I'm saying. We have over $4 billion worth of active development around us. And we are the only Black investment group to control what we control so close to all these projects and protecting residents and doing, we're doing what everybody says is impossible. Most people think you have to protest and try to stop things. We don't have to protest. We don't have to. We're gonna let them do what they do, and we're gonna continue to buy up everything around it. Everything around it. So, like I said, the numbers will come out next week. I have to get the property reappraised. My focus over the last month has been selling the church property to the housing authority, which is why I'm a little bit behind on this meeting, but it's not because I'm neglecting anybody, it's because I'm actually putting in the work for all of you, everybody that invested. I'm putting in the work for all of you. And the proof is in the pudding. All the documentation is there. We are making money. Our values are increasing. And we're doing the right thing at the same time. That's rare. It's hard for most of people outside of us, because y'all believe. But a lot of people don't understand how we can possibly do it. But we're doing it. We're setting a new blueprint. And people are asking me how we're doing it, and I'm showing them. So, like I said, I'm going to have another call. Some people were saying that they couldn't get access. And as you all know, these platforms have been letting me. It's almost depressing, the fact that the platforms can't keep up with everything that we need them to, so that everybody can just log in, check share prices, check dividends, elect for dividends to be distributed. All that stuff was, when I was launching this, all the platforms told me, we don't have it now, but we're going to have it. Okay, we're 3 years in now, they still don't have it, guys. So that's why everything's been very manual. So I appreciate everybody's been patient and understanding, working directly with the SEC attorneys that we have on staff to process everything manually. The buying and selling of shares has to be processed manually. And so step one going forward is going to be anybody that wants to sell your shares, the company is going to buy them back. Once the company owns them, then anybody else that wants to buy shares will give you the opportunity to buy them from the company. The reason why we do it that way is because we don't want to get caught up in anything that makes it look like, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme. He's taking money from here, putting it over there. No, we want to show that the company, the entity is financially stable. We have enough capital to buy back all the shares first and then sell them without having to take somebody's money to facilitate that first transaction. And you see a lot of other funds that do things that way, and we just want to steer clear of all of that. So, like I said, I think the next call is probably, I'm hoping that the CPAs can have everything done by Friday, guys. It may be next week, but what I'm also going to do is at this point, if you want to sell your shares, the form will be sent out tonight. If you want to buy shares also, the same form will be sent out. You can elect whether you want to buy more or sell. And as we get all things lined up with the rest of the accounting, then we can facilitate those transactions. But like I said, the people that want to sell, you have the first opportunity to sell. We got a long list of people that want to buy. We have outside people that aren't in the fund that want to buy into the fund. So how do we make sure we get the emails? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Great question. So everybody, I'm gonna put this to everyone in the chat. This is my email address. Add me. Let's see, hold on a second. What's going on? Okay. Everyone add this email address to your contact list in your email. That way it won't go to spam. A lot of times what happens is these email servers realize that it's a bulk email, and if they don't recognize it as a contact you personally have, it goes to spam or it gets blocked completely. So I need everybody to add that email address to their email thing. Okay, hold on, wait. I have a bunch of questions. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with these questions in here, and then I'm gonna open it up for questions. What are your steps to sell your sales? Okay, Ron, so I just told you the link is gonna go out tonight or first thing in the morning, late at the latest. You can state if you want to sell all your shares or how many shares you want to sell, and then we will process the repurchase of those shares. Okay. I appreciate all these positive comments. Let's see. Should never invest more than what you are willing to lose. That's true. Okay, take your time. How to make sure we're getting emails? Okay, like I said, if you want to buy more, we have a limited amount of shares that are available. It's all going to be tied to how many people want to sell. So that will increase the inventory of shares that we have on stock for other people to buy. I don't know what the number is going to be until we get everything accounted for with the forms. We'll give everybody a couple of days to submit the form, and then we'll know from there. So at this point, I am going to open it up for questions and comments.
Hey, Chris, I'll hop in. Christine, just was curious why you wanted, I'm assuming it's a good business decision, but would love to understand the reasoning behind selling the church property versus developing it yourself.
Great question. So when we acquired the property, we had a project budget of about $78 million to do the entire deal, from acquisition soft costs, design, engineering, everything, construction, materials, everything. Then when COVID got heavy and interest rates went through the roof and material prices went up, it left a gap of $10 million, saying the project will now cost $88 million to build. So spending time talking to the housing authority, they have the capital to fill the gap. And they also have the bandwidth to acquire the property and then make the property tax exempt. So for the investors in that deal, our expenses were about $24,000 a month for carrying costs for the $5 million loan. And then taxes, we were paying like $160,000 a year. So what made more sense to us was, well, if we're partnering with the housing authority, we'll allow them to take down the land and make it property tax exempt, and then let them still bring us back in as development partners. So that's what we're doing on that project. So that's going to save the investors about $300,000 or $400,000 of expenses every year. It basically de-risks it now because there's no financial obligation on our part. We're giving it over to the housing authority, no property taxes, but we still get to be involved in the deal. Now, all the investors that invested in that, the minimum investment was $50,000. They're all getting 20% returns because after all expenses and all carrying costs, we had about $3 million in profit. So paying everybody back 20% returns made sense. But also that land transaction increased the land value of the by the block project because the housing authority bought it cash at the top of market, at the top appraisal value. So this is how, when we collectively focus on one area, we can basically manipulate the market. Like real estate is the only area of investment where insider trading is legal. I can buy the property next door and pay more for it, and then that increases the property value of the one that I already own. And so that's basically what we've been doing, a lot of that. And just making sure we're buying and controlling as much as possible.
No, very well played. Thanks for breaking that down. And I didn't realize that we're coming back in as a development partner. So absolutely, very well done. Cherry on top.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question?
Hey, Chris, quick question, bro. With the dividends, will we have the option to reinvest those somehow when the accountants get done doing their thing?
Yeah, I think we're at the point now, Chris, where that makes sense, bro. If you've accrued them, you probably have enough now where the accrued amount is as much as what a share would cost to purchase. So we can convert those over to more shares. But I have to figure out what stage of the process we will do that. I'm thinking going forward, we probably should allow existing share owners to convert their shares over to ownership before we sell any shares to outside people that want to come into the deal. So that's a great question.
My next question, if original investors had priority.
Original investors definitely have priority on this one. I have a few other opportunities coming up. I'm going to raise the threshold to about $1,000 for the next one that's coming up. But just anybody is interested, I've partnered with a brother that owns 10.5 acres in Orange, Texas, where Chevron Phillips is building an $8.5 billion refinery. And their demand is probably $3,000. I mean, 3,000 units of new housing. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, we got a site plan right now to build 36 houses and a 75-unit apartment complex on these 10.5 acres that he owns. And so we'll be raising money for that. And I'm gonna make that another version of Buy Block. This is gonna be a build for rent community. Everything, the houses and the apartments will be built for rent. But the investment threshold again is gonna be a little bit higher. Yeah.
Cool, hey, man. Appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Chris.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to reinvest the shares that we have, are you going to still close the threshold by tomorrow, or will we have a little bit more time?
Are you talking
So
about the selling your shares or like converting your equity, your distribution?
yeah, I just wanna roll mine over.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk with the attorneys this week and figure out the best way to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but just understand, like, if you have those accrued distributions, they're there, and we're gonna figure out the best way to put them to work. If you don't want them, don't want to have them distributed, we'll figure out that. It took me a few years to get to this place because, you know, if you had a $50 share, but you've only accrued $25, $30 in distributions, it doesn't really equate to a new share. And we didn't want to do fractionalized shares because gets very costly to try to run the business model that way with these platforms. They are used to people that are doing these $75 million raises, right? So their fees are $50,000-$70,000 a year just to manage that part. And so
Correct.
for us, you know, our rental revenue is 100,000, 110,000.
Yes.
So if we spend 60 to 70,000 just on that, like that decreases everybody's returns tremendously. So it just didn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah. So just trying to figure that part out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'll be
Chris.
easiest to go with the hands that are being raised. I know Mr. DC was waiting.
Yes. So everybody, let me introduce you to Brittany. She's my right hand, and she should be facilitating this part. I'm sorry, Brittany, I should let you have control. So
No, it's fine. Yeah, it'll be easier if y'all just raise your hand and I'll just go in the order that the hand is raised. So Mr. DC, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. What's up, Chris? Chris Jones, he kind of answered my questions a little bit. With that buy the block 2 and reinvesting it, would you like a Zoom, like, and kind of crunch the numbers on that? Because I know you said that you sold it for like 11 million.
yeah, sold it for 11, correct.
Yeah, so for us to reinvest that into the buy the block 1 or that third project that you had on Instagram, it's like split in half, and I can put a little bit here and then put a share on the new one. Is that possible? Or
Well, so buy block 1, man, I think the waiting list is so long and we got so many current investors that want to buy more shares. I wouldn't hang your hat on trying to get in more buy block 1. But the new project I'm talking about is probably going to be the best place for you to place that investment if you want to do it. I'm talking with my attorneys to understand the best approach to that. I think I might have to pay everybody out and everybody get their money back before reallocate the funds, because once again, the way everything is going with social media and those other funds, like I don't want to be caught up in nothing that looks like a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid or nothing. Like, we want everybody to get their money back, and if you choose to reinvest, then you reinvest whatever you want out of what your proceeds were. So I'm still working through that part with the attorneys, but we'll have some answers in the next week or two.
yeah, because I'm an original investor from buy the block 1, and then that short window you have for buy the block 2. So I'm just trying to reinvest it. And my last question, is it true that there's going to be a bullet train that's going to connect to Houston to Dallas? And are you planning down the line to create something near that railway?
So I'm very good friends with the mayor of Houston. If y'all see my social media page,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I seen that.
That is very speculative. It's got a lot of foreign investment. You got dealing with a whole lot of landowners that don't necessarily want to sell a right of way on their property. So nobody really knows if it's going to come to fruition or not. I would not base any bet on that. I would not invest any money at this point banking on that coming to fruition. Now, but outside of that, Houston is growing tremendously. There's a lot of other housing demand in the city. As y'all know, they just raised interest rates again, so less people are going to be buying. It's a better opportunity for us to do build for rent, buy rental portfolios, because the demand for rental properties is going through the roof. So we got a lot of other opportunities where we know they're sure bets. I wouldn't personally wouldn't bet on anything that's speculative at this point.
Hey, DC, I hope they do because I live off of 290.
Right, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have a friend who he's been buying up ranches between here and Dallas because he knows it's in the pathway of the bullet train. He knows that they're gonna have to buy some property from him, but it's a big bet. That's a big speculative bet.
Okay then, Chris. Yeah, just I'll stay close and keep me up with the updates. I'm ready for it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nishiva. Sorry if I butchered your name.
It's okay. It's nice Shiva Star. It's one name. I have just one first name. But good night, good evening, everyone. Hi, Chris. I wanted to by the way, thank you for acknowledging me, Brittany. I wanted to just ask a little bit about Core Connects. I know you made the comment that they, like a lot of the platforms, weren't able to keep up. And I see somebody else, a few of us was asking about updated shares. Are we looking at another possible platform, or are we hoping that they're going to kind of get there? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I wish I had a positive answer for you for that. What it's come down to is I'm probably going to have to build a platform that does everything that we need, because I want all of y'all to really acknowledge and applaud yourselves, because this is one of the first crowd funds that maxed out at 1.1 million. That was the max at the time that we could do. The only one in real estate that was focused on doing things in the Black community. The only one in real estate that's paid out dividends already 3 or 4 times. The only one where the share values have gone up this much. Everything else is very speculative. It's like people starting a company or doing this, and the investors aren't expected to get returns for 3 or 4 years. So none of these platforms were ready for us. And so a lot of them were like, oh yeah. Come bring your business over here. And we're building that out. We're gonna invest and get this, get that. And none of them did it. So at this point, that's why I kind of regressed, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell my investors, my shareholders, Blockvestors, that anything is going to be dependent upon these platforms anymore, because they aren't there. Like I said, the platforms that do have it, they only do it for the $75 million, $100 million deals, and they charge so much that it becomes cost prohibitive. So when I was initially doing the raise, I told everybody, this is how you're going to learn how to be a real estate investor. You're going to learn about owning rental properties. You're going to learn about this. And this is the reality. If you own a rental property, there's no website that you can go to every month to say, hey, this is my property value. You can't go anywhere and say, this is what my rent revenue was last month. You have to have a property manager run that. And unfortunately, we're going to have to settle for that for now until we build our own platform that can facilitate everything we want and make it cost effective. Because I would be doing everybody a disservice if I bought into one of those programs and it suppressed everybody's returns to 20% of what the returns are now. I have not found a way in my head to justify that. So I'm looking for platforms. Brittany and I have been on a couple calls with a couple different platforms, but none of them offer everything that we need. And so, I know you all feel frustrated sometimes. I get the emails. How do I check my share value? How do I check what I got accrued? We and our legal team are documenting, and the CPAs are documenting all that. So it's there. It's unfortunate that there's not a platform that is prepared and ready to facilitate what we're doing on the level we're doing it. So maybe something will come about. Maybe somebody will figure it out. But until then, I'm telling everybody, Core Connects is the last one we signed up with. We're not dependent on them. I want everybody to depend on us. Depend on the Dropbox folder with the PDFs that shows what your new share value is after we get the new appraisal, which will be next month. The forms that we send directly from our legal team that issue shareholder certificates and all those things. That's what we're gonna have to focus on for now, guys. And this is a big learning curve for me too. I thought they had it together, and they really don't. So, but the great thing is, this is not This is not venture capital where you invested in a business that may or may not be successful. We own real estate that's appreciating, and the value is almost, well, it has doubled already. So everybody's investment is secure. It's just you can't log in and see if it went up or down yesterday, today, like you can for Robinhood for a stock. But the money's there, your accrued distributions are there, and we're continuing to have impact in the community. So
I definitely appreciate that. Really quick as a follow-up, Chris, does I'm just gonna call it by the block 3, because I don't know if you have a name for it. Are you gonna send an email out to let us know when that project is available? Is it gonna
yes,
be email? That's how we're gonna find out about that one?
yeah. I'll send emails out to all the by the block investors 1 and 2, and then if you're on Instagram, you should join my broadcast channel, the Blockvestor
Oh,
channel,
okay,
and
great.
I will send a announcement there. I'll put it out on every platform I have.
Got it.
Like I said, it's probably gonna be a smaller group, bigger investments. I was with Slim Thug yesterday, and he and Scarface, Willie D, all the hip hop legends of the city want to get more involved in real estate, and so we're going to be working on some projects together also, where we're going to be raising capital. So if y'all watch Breakfast Club next week, you're going to see Willie D as the guest host, and he's going to be talking about working with me on some real estate projects here, and we're going to be raising money for those projects too. So it'll be other opportunities coming down the pipeline, but the more I learn, the more selective I am, the more strategic I am about when I announce who I'm going to accept money from, and making sure the projects are secure, because everybody that's on this call is not on this call because you donated money to me. You invested, you had the right interest in your head. You want to focus on rebuilding the community, but you want your money back, you want profits, you want all those things. So I have to be a good steward of that, especially with what's going on everywhere else on social media, but all these guys just being exposed for being frauds. Like, I'm glad I stayed low key. I'm glad we did what we did in Houston, and we have a real impact. And I just want to continue that mission and be very strategic about anything that I do going forward, where I take in y'all's money for.
Okay, Chris Stafford, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, thank you, Brittany. Hey, Chris, appreciate everything you're doing, brother. I'm over here in Studewood, and I got family in Fifth Ward of off Waco and Sumter.
Mhm.
So I pass the shared space probably 6 times a year or so. I see Slim, buying the Block and Acres home and everything or whatever, which is a neighboring, neighborhood to the neighborhood that I'm in. And he's putting Burns Barbecue on the block as well. So I applaud you boys for everything y'all doing, man. My question is, so in 2021, when I invested in everything, that ended up going to the iShares platform. And then in 2022, I guess everything was transitioned over to Core Connects. Or was that the By the Block 2? Was that, I'm a little, I guess, disheveled. Were they completely separate, or was that just a transition from one platform to the next platform, but it was still the same fund? Or can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So for everybody that follows this project, we started off on one of the only 2 Black-owned SEC-approved platforms in the country, owned by a Black woman out of Denver, Lynn. It was called By the Block. It fit the narrative perfectly. That's what we did the initial raise on, when we raised the 1.1 million. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with Lynn, but she's no longer operating her fund. She had originally suggested that I work with one entity that did not work out, and then she suggested Core Connects as the next entity we should work with. So I was kind of depending on her judgment, her connections to figure out what to work on. So I'll say this: all these platforms have limited capability. They can show you what you bought your shares for. They can allow me to send out communications, but they can't facilitate any distribution or payout. They can't show you what you accrued. payouts are. So, I stopped trying. I'm like, well, I'm not going to keep bringing all the Blockvestors through this trial and error of trying to find a platform that works. I'm going to go directly to my attorneys. And the last call we had, bro, I told everybody, fill out the form from the attorneys, and we're going to issue shareholder certificates. That's your documentation. That proves that you have ownership in it.
And I got that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So as long as you got that, you're good. And once we get it reappraised, if you have not taken any of your distributions, I'm gonna send another document out that shows what the share value is based off the property value. And then you can just calculate your accrued distributions based off of, what we're gonna have on there. So December was the first time that we really didn't meet the revenue threshold that we used to meet, because Peer Space revenue had gone down a little bit. We had a couple residents that weren't paying the rent. We had a resident that passed. So we had a little bit of that. But the bright side of that is the Housing Authority project-based voucher program, where whoever was on the last call, the chairman of the Housing Authority got on and talked about how much he believed in our mission and he was appreciative of what we were doing. And they're basically almost doubling the rent revenue, like I told y'all earlier, that they're filling that gap for us. So because we were so socially conscious and took care of our tenants and allowed the ones that couldn't pay to stay a few months. We had one tenant the first year, guys. I think I told everybody this. We had one tenant the first year, didn't pay his rent for 4 months. And on month 5, I was like, okay, we're gonna have to approach him and kick him out. Month 5, he was dead. He died of cancer. He had stage 4 cancer and nobody knew. But those type of things we can do for the community, and still make money, because the value of the land and everything still went up. So we don't have to be so money hungry that we are a detriment to people that are going through real life crises. And we're still making money in the process. We can do good and make money. So yeah, so that's where we are. I wish there was a platform that had everything together. I'm working on, like I said, the next step is to work with some of my guys that are in that world and have them build something for us that can facilitate all this. And hopefully not just facilitate it for us, but every other group that wants to do this across the country, wants to buy a block, wants to have investors come in, they can use our platform and do the same thing. So
Yeah, I appreciate all that. Just want to let you know, man, I'm not taking no distributions, bro. I'm like a dump truck on 4 flats. I ain't going nowhere, bro. I'm with you the whole way, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Marquise and Chantel, you can go ahead.
Appreciate it. Love everything that you're doing, man, especially for the block, of course, and our people. I know you talked about trying to find a portal and finding some type of platform for your investors. I do work in the commercial real estate space with multifamily assets, partnering with the team here. I kind of sent you a private message on the side. One of the platforms that we used to use was Cash Flow Portal. Have you heard of that one before?
Cash Flow Portal. I have not.
Okay. That's a good one. I'm not sure if it'll be good for like a fund to fund or what we're doing here. But it has some customization there. And what we would do for our investors, you would create a profile. It already has some SEC filings into it. It has W-9 things, working with accredited investors, but also 506B, as well as joint ventures. And so it kind of makes it easier for investors to create their profile. We get everything from them. And then when it's time to execute, that's the way that we would communicate. And they can always find just kind of how their shares are doing, what's the update on the property, sort of those sorts of things. So I'm not sure if that will be helpful for what you're doing or if it works for what we're doing here, but wanted to throw that out there for you. And like I said, man, I love what we got going on here and what we're doing. And if you are looking to have other potential partners from an equity raise standpoint or development raise, the team Massive Capital is who I partner with. They have over 100 million in asset, and they just developed a flex space called X Space, which is just north of Memorial Park. It's a beautiful asset. Mostly they do multifamily, but this one is just a unique space for sure. It's the only second one in the States right now because the company is based out of Australia that developed it. But we'd love to see if a partnership can be created between y'all two, because I really see the vision for this and everything we're doing here.
Yeah, so and what you mentioned is pretty spot on with the challenges I've seen. The capabilities are there, but it's for investments for accredited investors. And so for people that don't know what that is, to be an accredited investor, you have to have made over $200,000 individually for the past 2 years, or 250,000 for the past 2 years, or collectively as a couple made is it 300,000?
Yeah.
300,000 collectively as a couple, or your net worth has to be over $1 million, excluding your primary residence. So that eliminates a lot of us for these opportunities. So Marquise, what you were just talking about is those type of platforms, they have everything we need, but they don't fit us. Like, you know, some of us are just out of school, just out of college. Some of us, you know, don't have a net worth anywhere close to that, but we collectively want to work together and invest. And so that's been the challenge of finding a platform that can facilitate the services for this group, for this type of mission. Now, if we could talk to them and maybe they could set up something new that would facilitate us, that would be ideal. I just haven't found anybody willing to do that yet.
Yeah, let me ask around and probe around, because I know it's kind of a newer portal that they've developed within the last, I think, 2 years. And they do offer 506B. So for your non-accredited investors, they do offer a platform for that, because it's essentially the same kind of thing, right? Without some of the forms and requirements, but it's the same platform. So I can ask around and see.
Okay, so since you're dropping all these terminologies, I want everybody to understand what we're talking about here. So explain what a 506B is for everybody here.
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to investing, as Chris said, 506C means you have to be an accredited investor. And usually 506C is also for community. So you can advertise that sort of deal. You can make it public. You can literally raise capital for it from marketing campaigns. 506B is more so for your private investors in the sense of one-on-one personal connection. So before you can even raise capital for somebody, you have to establish, according to the SEC laws, some sort of relationship already and that you're investing from. And so what we're doing here is more on the lines of probably a 506C. I don't know what your marketing or that sort of thing went, but I know we didn't have a personal relationship before. So I think they can provide something for both, like I said, the B and the C, and it doesn't have to be accredited. But I'll ask around, bro, because I'm just trying to support the dream here.
Okay. Good stuff. Appreciate
Okay,
that.
Tanya.
Thanks, Brittany. It's Tanaya. I just have That's okay. I have a quick question for you, Chris. I heard you mention about the acres that you have in Orange, Texas. That's actually where I am. It's where I'm
Are you in
from.
Orange?
Yeah, my husband and I actually built a house 3 years ago, right across in the neighborhood, right across from the infirmary that we
Oh,
built it
wow.
prior to learning that they were building an infirmary. We actually learned about the infirmary maybe 3 weeks after we closed. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we actually
Oh, well.
yeah, and but we're interested. We've been talking amongst ourselves about all of the land that's over there and talking about building it up and things like that. So I don't know. I heard the lady earlier speak about by the block 3. I'm not sure if that's what she was referring to, but I did
Yes.
want to ask you about that just to confirm that and I know that you also said that you were going to have a select group of people. That is something that my husband and I are absolutely interested in because our town is so small and because so many people come in and they buy up and they're like historic Orange is all us and it's being purchased up. And that's where I grew up in East Orange. So, that's a all historical part, but it's being it's being taken. So anyway, I'm very interested in that particular project. So is that something you're going to send out to us who possibly invested in Buy the Block 1, or do you already have a select group?
Yes. I'll send it out to everybody. And so I grew up in Port Arthur, right up the street.
Oh, okay.
I used to have rental properties in Orange on 3rd Street.
Yeah, I grew up on Orange Avenue and 2nd and 1st. So
Right.
yeah.
So I'm showing everybody. So this is the site plan we have for the site. So you probably know this site. It's off of one of the main streets. Right now it's an abandoned elementary school.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah,
of our
so
elementary schools are abandoned here. We
yeah,
have so many that you can actually do things with because they combined all 7 of our elementary schools here.
yeah. So this is the single family component on this side, and then on the right side, this is the 3-story 75 unit apartment building that's going to be built there. So yeah, we're
Okay.
definitely looking for we're going to be raising capital for people to invest in that project too. And once we get it all together, I'll let everybody know so that if you're interested in that, you can be a part of that.
Thank you so much for that. So I'll be looking out for that because that's something we actually had spoken to some of our friends about because we were interested, but but now I was really pleased to hear that. So, okay, well, thank you so much. I'll be looking for that email.
No
Oh,
problem.
last thing, our certificate. Are we able to locate that in Core Conics or no?
No, I send the form out after every meeting. You have to
Okay.
submit that form, and then once you submit the form, establishing your shares, and if you want to keep them or sell them or whatever, then the SEC attorney team will send you out the shareholder certificates for whatever you're keeping.
Okay, perfect. All right, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I think we have one more question from Kristen.
Okay.
Hey, Brittany, thank you. Well, one question for you, Chris, and just wanted to throw out since y'all had the conversation. In 2020, they did add a third option to be accredited if you get a Series 65, Series 6, or Series 7. So if that's the route you want to go, highly recommend the Series 65 because you do not have to have it sponsored.
Mhm.
And then wanted to ask you on the Buy the Block 2, I know you said payout should come this week. Is that something we'll be getting an email from for that, or how will that be communicated?
Yeah, so I sent the email to all the Buy the Block 2 investors for their elections, but it's kind of mandatory because the term was 2 years. So everybody's getting paid out, whether they respond or not. Some people are electing to roll it over to the next project, which is okay. But everybody's gonna get paid out this week. You don't have there's nothing y'all have to do on your side.
Okay,
So
sounds good. And I haven't gotten an email in like a year, so that's why I wanted to follow up. I didn't know if maybe it went to spam or.
yeah, that's the problem with these all these communication channels is like when you send bulk emails, it doesn't matter what platform it's coming from. Some email servers just block it because they see that it was sent to so many people. And it's really hard to send individual emails to every single person. So that's why I have multiple channels. So I don't know how you found out about this, Christine, but I probably sent it 2 or 3 different ways, and you got one, right? So that's just part of the process that we're dealing with right now.
No, totally understand. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, do we have any more questions before we wrap this up? Again, we're gonna have another call within a week, probably a week or a little bit over a week from now. We're gonna go through the details of the numbers and everything. But today I wanted to be more conversational. I wanted everybody to understand where we are, understand why we have delays sometimes. This is real estate. This is real life investing. This isn't I'm not making things up. Like the money just isn't sitting in a bank account. It's invested in real projects that have real issues. We're dealing with real life. And so, yeah, some of the things may not happen on the exact day that was originally proposed, but I just want everybody to feel confident and comfortable that we are invested in solid projects, solid deals. We are making money, and this is your opportunity. If you want to sell and think you have something more important to do with the money, I applaud everybody. I appreciate everybody that's invested and made this come to life and stayed in it for as long as you have. Anybody that wants to buy more understands the long-term vision of where it's going. Stay along for the ride because it's gonna go way up. We have a lot of upside potential for what we're doing. So I appreciate everybody that's on. Last chance. Anybody got a question?
One final question. I
Okay.
saw a few people on your Instagram that they went through your course and then you helped them with the development and everything, and they were turning some of those projects into Airbnbs. Are you still doing that? I know you're busy with all the different projects that you have going on, but are you still doing that? Whether they have to go through your course first, and then you're helping them sort of secure land and build on that land and turn that, that development. Is that still ongoing?
Yeah, it is. So yeah, so I set up the course first to help people get all of the basics, the understanding, the conversation, know what the process is, because I want to mentor people to help them do new construction versus wholesaling or flipping, but my schedule, my time is so limited that I can't help everybody from square one. Like, so once you finish the course, then I'm like, okay, you understand the basics. You know what's going on. Then out of that pool, Brittany and I go through it and we select who we want to work with to actually teach them how to do new construction. And once you get into my new construction program, you're actually using my context, my connections, whether it's in Houston, Cleveland, Baltimore, Atlanta, the people that I know that are successful at it already, connecting you with them. You're going to use their team, so you don't have to waste time trying to figure out. You don't have to lose money getting the contractor because of Google reviews or meeting them at a networking event, not really knowing the quality of their work. So that's what that program is. The current round is closed. We have 8 students in there. The first time I did 4 students, all of them made over $100,000 on their first construction project, whether they sold it or they kept it and did cash out refinances, whatever. So the goal is to continue that process slowly. And as I scale my team and have more people on the team that can help me facilitate managing that program, then we can, take more people in each cohort. But right now it's like once a year, maybe once every 9 months, we'll add more people to the program. But yeah, it's definitely still there. But taking the course will definitely get you prepared. And some people don't even need to come into the full program. If you got investment experience, flipping experience, maybe the course may be enough to get you ready to go do your own projects on your own. So
Got you.
yeah.
Got you. Appreciate it.
Now the questions are coming in, but Felicia, I know she had her hand raised for a little minute.
Okay.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Chris. Thank you.
Delicia.
I'm sorry. Did you call Felicia or Delicia? I'm sorry.
Felicia, sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for the information. Quick question. You mentioned subscribing to your broadcast channel on Instagram, correct, for additional updates. Is there a way to get around the subscription fee for those of us that are already invested in, or do we just need to pay the additional subscription fee? I think it's like $4.99 a month or something
No.
to be on your broadcast channel.
Yeah, no. So Instagram has 2 things. You have that subscription thing, and then you have a broadcast channel.
I'm sorry, I'm old. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The broadcast channel is free. It's not a subscription thing. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's free. When you join it puts you in like a DM group where whenever I post anything in the group, it goes directly to your direct messages. But it's yeah,
okay. I will ask my nephew to figure that out for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Brandy.
Hi, I just had a quick question. So I didn't realize that we could roll over the Buy the Block 2 money that was coming back to us into a different project. So if I already emailed and gave my Zelle information, can I just send an email back to that same email and say that I would like to roll my funds over to the next project?
Yeah, sure. You can do that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
And Delicia.
Sorry about that earlier. I appreciate everything you all do. I'm actually a part of the 5th Ward super neighborhood, Joetta Stevens, president. So you all are doing great things. But I did have questions in regards to the certificate, receiving the certificate, and the access to is it Court Connect you're saying? Kind of wanted to get some information on how to obtain those things.
Okay. So Delicia, did you get the email today or the text?
No, I didn't get either.
How did you find out about the call?
Your Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm gonna send you the link for the forms so that you can get the certificates and everything else.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Okay. Have dividends been paid out for Buy the Block 1?
So if you have not received dividends for Buy the Block 1, they are accruing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just was curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are accruing. if you want to get distributions, when we open it up this week, just make sure you make that known that you want to receive your distribution instead of letting them accrue. We have so many investors, it's hard for us to like just send everything out to everybody automatically. So what we do is we automatically revert to accrued unless somebody says specifically they want to get paid out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Well,
I think that's all the questions. I was just saying, I think there's no more questions.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, me and Brittany are gonna get together. We're gonna let you know when the next meeting is, when we have the technical side. So we go with the numbers, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But like I said, everything's doing pretty well. Values are going up. Everything's good. So, but we will have that second conversation in about a week. And I'm surprised we have 1,500 investors and we had like 100 people join today. I don't know if everybody else is rich and they just don't care about their investments or what. But I appreciate everybody that's on the call. Appreciate everybody that's, you know, been a part of this and making this happen. We really are setting a blueprint for what's possible. And you know, a lot of people in other markets are watching and replicating what we're doing because we were the first to do it. So once again, I appreciate everybody on the call. We will have updates coming out in next week or so. And this is recorded. So if you want to replay it, I'll send that link out. Also, it'll also be in the Dropbox folder. The Houston Blockvestor updates.com is a link to the Dropbox where the replay of this will be available also.
And you will send out an email tonight for buying and selling.
Yes, I do.
Correct.
Yes, I'll send that out.
Okay.
I'll get that out. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And Brandy looked like she had a question.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question because I just wanted to make sure of when the form was gonna come out because like hopefully it was and if that form was gonna be like, is that when we actually pay the money or when does that happen? Because I'm hoping not in the next 2 weeks because I won't be available, but
Okay, so if we're looking to buy more, that will be registered on a wait list. The first action is to buy back shares for people that want to sell. So we'll probably give that a week. And then the following week, we will start opening it up. Now, I mean, if you really want shares, you tell us, hey, please hold this many shares for me. If you're an existing investor, we can easily do that. We can hold them for you till you're ready. But yeah, it'll be opened up probably the following week for purchase.
okay. Yes. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, everyone have a good night. Clearly, all of you have gotten some communication from me. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. This is our busiest time of the year when we have everybody engaged, buying shares, selling shares, updates, appraised values, and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, I appreciate everybody's patience throughout the year. And we're going to continue to do great things in the community.
Chris, I have a question real quickly.
Sure.
Do you know the estimated value of the shares now?
I'm hesitant to say that until we get the appraisal back. I'm guessing probably $65 a share, something like that. We started at 50. But until we get the appraisal, I don't know that exact number. But I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around there.
Okay, so my next question is the buyback amount. So if we want to sell it now, the price that you pay for it would be different than it would be when the appraisal come out. So that price that if somebody else wanted to buy more shares would be higher, you would think?
Correct, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I want everybody to understand this too. This is like the stock market, right? Like once you buy a share of stock from Exxon no longer has anything to do with the share value. Once it goes to the open market, there's a group of people that want to buy Exxon stock. There's a group of people that want to sell Exxon stock. Where those two people agree is where the value comes in. So Exxon gives a great announcement about revenue going up, Okay, so people want to sell higher. Other people want to buy higher. So then the value's up here. Exxon says we lost this much money this year. Okay, people was like, I gotta hurry up and get out. They're gonna liquidate. Other people are like, oh, I'm gonna buy it at a discount. So the price is down here. So shares are the same way. We have to understand what the market is. If I say everybody's shares worth 100, but then nobody wants to buy the shares for 100, that it's not plausible. So it's somewhat tied to the value of the property, also tied to what the marketplace says they believe that they are willing to pay for that. So it's a delicate balance, trying to work through that. But I'm thinking $65, $67 based of where we are now and how much the market has improved and how much the property value has improved. I think it's going to be somewhere in that range.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, everybody. So like I said, have a good night. We're going to reconvene in about a week. And if you have any questions, reach out to us, me and Brittany, and we'll try to answer your questions in the meantime. Okay, bye.